Welcome to the Militia Gaming Community Channel. I'm Trigger Militia, and today I will be talking in depth about how to win more with Octane in Apex Legends, specifically on Xbox One. Before we get into the video, I want to mention that all the videos on my channel are for Xbox players. That doesn't mean that if you're a PlayStation or a PC player, you can't learn from my videos, but all of the button callouts, the strategies, and the reviews I do are specific to the Xbox One platform. If you're an Xbox player and you find this video helpful and you want more Xbox specific guides, strategies, and tech reviews, consider subscribing. I only play on an Xbox One, so that's the entire focus of my channel. Also, stay tuned until the end of the video where I will be sharing with you 5 Octane Pro tips. If you already understand the basics of Octane and want to skip ahead to the pro tips, check the description for the timestamp. Alright, let's go! First, let's talk about the different legend archetypes. Much like Overwatch, Apex Legends has 4 different types of legends: offensive, defensive, support, and tracking. Octane is an offensive legend. His abilities complement an aggressive playstyle. He is at his best when pressuring and attacking the enemy. Octane's passive ability, Swift Mend, restores his health over time when he is not taking damage. This ability does a decent job counteracting his tactical ability, which takes health away from him. It restores fairly slowly, so I would not rely on it as a primary way to heal after gunfights. What I'm saying is, you should still pick up med packs and shield batteries. Also note, it does not restore any shield, only health, and it doesn't affect any of your squad mates either. This ability restores at a 1 health for every 2 seconds rate. So to restore a full 100 health, it would take 200 seconds or 3 minutes and 20 seconds. His tactical ability, Stim, gives him a 30% speed burst that lasts for 6 seconds, but it takes away 10 health to use. This ability can be used back to back as there is almost no cooldown, but you will need to keep an eye on your health because every time you use it, you lose 10 health. Octane's passive heals him over time, so using this ability once or twice won't be detrimental, especially if you have good shields, but more than that could put you at a huge disadvantage in a gunfight. I think most players will use this ability to evade or retreat, but its most valuable feature is simply moving around the map fast while looting or traveling from one area to the next. Using it while in danger could be helpful to get away, but on the flip side, it could hurt your chances of survival because it takes some of your health. When you want that speed burst, just tap the left bumper and Octane will stab himself with an adrenaline shot and take off. Something to note, you can't down yourself with this ability. If you are really low on health and you use your stim, it will not down you. Octane's ultimate ability, Launchpad, is a jump pad that all players may use. You can place it pretty much anywhere and it sends you flying through the air. To use it, aim where you would like the jump pad to be and press the left and right bumpers at the same time. You can only throw it short distances, so don't try to place it too far away from you or throw it to a squad mate who is in need of some help. It won't go very far. The launch pad has a short animation before it's available to bounce off of, so plan for that when using it on the go. Toss it out in front of you so that by the time you run over it, it's ready to use. This ability can be used much like Pathfinder's zipline to get the whole squad to hard to reach locations, like on top of buildings or cliffs. You can also shoot the jump pad in order to destroy it so no enemies can follow you into those hard to reach locations. It obviously doesn't have the range of that zipline, but it can be used in similar fashion when wanting to get on top of something. You don't have to jump on the pad to be bounced. Merely running over it will do the trick, and even downed squad mates can crawl over it and be bounced away to safety. The distance you travel after bouncing is directly related to how fast you were traveling before you hit it. For example, if you are walking over the jump pad, you will not travel as far as if you were sprinting over the jump pad. And after lots of testing, it seems that if you have boosted yourself with Octane's tactical ability, and then you hit the jump pad, you go even further. I can't 100% guarantee that, but it seems like that's the case. Also, if you time it correctly and hit the jump button at the same time as hitting the jump pad, you seem to get a little more height and distance on your jump. Alright, that's a basic overview of his abilities. Now let's talk strategies. Pro tip number 1. Use Octane's tactical ability to get out of bad situations. Sometimes I overextend in a gunfight and need to pull back. With a legend like Gibraltar, if you overextend, you are likely going to die and compromise your whole squad. But with legends like Bangalore, Pathfinder, Wraith, and Octane, you have the ability to evade enemies and get back to a safer position or regroup with your team for backup. Octane's stim shot gives you a huge 30% speed boost for 6 seconds, which is usually enough time to get out of nasty situations and get to cover. Hopefully, by then your whole squad is able to put down some cover fire so you can heal and rejoin the fight. To do this right, however, you have to recognize when you're overextended before it's too late. If you stim with almost no health, you can make it easy for the enemies to one-shot you. Pro tip number 2. I know it's not always possible when you are solo queuing, but do your best to match Octane with other high mobility legends like Pathfinder, Bangalore, and Wraith. Usually, Octane doesn't synergize with Caustic and Gibraltar too much because they are mostly defensive legends, and their playstyles don't really mix too well. That's not to say you couldn't figure out a good strategy with a team comp like that. I'm just saying it's not a natural fit and it doesn't work too well for the average team. Pro tip number 3. Because Octane is a high-speed, high-mobility legend, he is best when used to attack the enemy, and thus you should plan your loadout accordingly. The best guns for him are short to medium range. I would strongly recommend the Peacekeeper or the EVA 8 and an R301 carbine or Spitfire or Hemlock. Pro tip number 4. Use Octane's jump pad to gain high ground in a fight for your whole squad, particularly if your enemies are inside or around buildings. Drop the jump pad outside and bounce to the roof. This will immediately give you the upper hand. See what I did there? Having high ground definitely puts your squad in a better position to win the fight. And finally, pro tip number 5. Use Octane's tactical and ultimate abilities to close the distance faster than your opponents expect. Usually, gunfights start out at a medium to long range, and over time the squads get closer and closer depending on how aggressive each team is playing. This tip does require some communication with your team because you want to close the distance at the right time. There are 2 times where I suggest hitting that stim and closing the distance quickly, and that is after your team knocks one of the enemies or does significant damage, like breaking a shield. This is where the communication comes in. They need to tell you if they've broken a shield or knocked someone. The other time is when your squad can provide enough cover fire for you to close the distance without being seen. If you're going in without knowing that one of them is damaged, it's super important that you get there without the enemy squad knowing. You will need the element of surprise because if not, the fight can quickly turn into a 3v1 situation. If you rush them after downing one of them, you will likely get there before they've had a chance to heal up or while they're healing. Either way, you're there before they are ready for you, and again, you have the advantage. There are many more strategies that I may not have talked about, so if you have your own pro tip, make sure you leave it in the comments. I would love to hear how you guys are using Octane, particularly the jump pad, because I know there's going to be some crazy videos out there with the jump pad. Thanks again for watching. Trigger out.